Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something slightly different. I want to get a better understanding of what van life is all about. As some of you may know, rent prices in Ireland are astronomically high. They're mental. So I'm looking for a cheaper alternative to attend college through the week and at the weekend go biking, maybe surfing. So I came across this YouTuber known as Pebbles and Peach, and I thought it'd be a really interesting idea to interview her to see the pros and the cons to van life. Something I didn't know much about, and I thought, well, the best way to find out is ask someone who's experienced. And thankfully, she agreed. The problem was, I couldn't find any buses to get me there in time, so I contacted a good friend to let me doss at his in Sligo, so I could leave a day earlier. Yeah, hey, I'll bring beer. Cheers. So on day one, I went from Mayo to Galway to grab my camera equipment and then back to Mayo, where I picked up my overnight bag and grabbed another bus from Mayo to Sligo with a friend. Early the next morning we grabbed a bus from Sligo to Enniskillen and from Enniskillen straight to Bangor, to a place we agreed to meet, which was absolutely picture perfect.
Hi, I'm Val, and this is the van that I have lived and travelled in for quite a while now. We did a big massive 4-month stint around Europe, basically travelling everywhere in this van, and all the while I kind of made like YouTube videos. I have like a YouTube channel called Pebbles and Peach where I kind of document van life, what it's actually like, and then now that we're back home, back in Northern Ireland, we do like guides for other people who are about to do the same kind of thing. Well, I hadn't been very well travelled before we got the van, and like one of the things that I always wanted to do in life was to go travelling. So for me, the main reason behind it was I actually wanted to be able to travel, but like be able to do it affordably, because it's so expensive. So this meant that we could literally visit, like we passed through like 14 different countries, and it was all inside this van. We didn't have to pay for like places to stay or anything like that. So it meant that we got to like live, travel, and see things that a lot of other people wouldn't get to see just from doing this. Yeah, it's really comfortable. It's really cozy. Like if you've had like a big long day or you've been out exploring and you're tired, it's actually really nice to come in, just sit down. Like obviously we have like the stoves, we can cook our dinner, we can make our teas and coffees. Like you literally have everything that you would have in a regular house. It's just everything's condensed down and a bit more compact. Yeah, and I think that's actually why a lot of people now are switching to van life, because nowadays it seems to become like you work to pay for where you live and then you get nothing else. Like there's no extra, like you barely get time off to enjoy life. You can't afford to, even if you can, because all of your money is just being spent on mortgage, rent, gas, bills. Like if you do something like this, your expense is your van and then that's it. Like you can completely live, be free, and people can afford to work a little less because they're not spending every penny that they have on mortgage or gas or all that kind of stuff. Like you're literally paying for your fuel, which if you're not even massively traveling, it's not even that expensive. The upkeep of your van, which isn't much compared to the amount that you would pay in like rent every month. So I think that's why a lot of people are switching to this lifestyle, because they're actually being able to see, I can have a little bit of freedom with my life and enjoy it without spending a fortune on like mortgage or rent. We did, but we were lucky that we didn't get left stranded. So actually when we were in England, in the UK, we were actually visiting some friends in Sheffield, and we've been having like a little bit of trouble with this van. It kept going into like limp mode, which means that it kind of isn't working right. It doesn't go to full speed or full power, and it's like it was chugging through the fuel. So we had a bit of a disaster whenever we knew there was something wrong with it, but we're like, oh, we'll try and get to Sheffield anyway and get to our friend's house. And when we basically parked outside their house, that was the van like completely dead, completely gone. So we were really lucky that we're actually like by their house, so it wasn't such a big problem. But because we had like, it is important to have things like insurance and like all that kind of stuff, so we had breakdown cover, and that meant that we actually got towed back to where we had some work done previously. But like most of the garages and stuff are kind of understanding. Like no one's, like they know that we're obviously living and traveling in this van, so like if we needed to, we would just stay like outside in the van, but we were never like stranded for like days without it. Like it literally would just, they would try and obviously get it done quickly because they knew that we were living in it. Yes and no, it depends. So most of the people I know do have, like, you can get these little diesel heaters in your van, and you can either put that through to your actual fuel tank, or you can have it running off a separate little fuel tank, and like the ideal spot would be like somewhere under the bed, or like you can have like a heating system. We didn't put one in this van because we followed the sun whenever we went traveling, but we kind of regretted it a little bit because we haven't got to stay in it as much over winter. So in our next van, because we want to do a lot more of like Ireland and Northern Ireland where it's a bit colder, we're definitely going to put in like a diesel heater. But in saying that, even when we got caught out in like big storm Bernardo in Spain, it was really like we woke up and we were snowed in, like 6 inches of snow on the ground. Like we were lucky that we actually got the van out because we were properly snowed in. Like you can get by. I think people think that it's going to be worse than it is, but we just like put the stove on for a bit of heat and then like made hot water bottles, and it was fine for a couple of days. Like we survived. So 100%, definitely. Like I said, you literally can travel for 4 months for the price that you would pay for maybe a 2-week holiday somewhere. You can save, like you said, you can save massive amounts of money on rent, on mortgages, on gas bills. Like if you stay pretty still and don't travel massively, you don't even pay a huge fuel bill. So literally, like you would save so much money, and I think it's so much more beneficial to people. Like it doesn't mean like, oh, you just not ever work and do anything, but it might mean that instead of working 40 hours a week and literally spending all of your money on bills, you can work 20 and actually be able to enjoy your life and travel. Like if we want to go down to the beach for the weekend, we can in this, and we don't have to pay for places to stay. So it just cuts your cost of living down so much, and you kind of get used to more like the simpler things. Like you don't really want much stuff or much things because you're in such a small space, so you find that you actually buy less clutter and less, like you become a lot less like consumerist, because you're like, I have this space and this is all I need. I don't need to buy tons and tons of things. Like you can get by on so much less, and you kind of learn that pretty quickly whenever you do live in the van. Yes, and we've actually had a weird experience with people not being very happy about us like parking in certain places. So like actually whenever we were in the UK, there was one time where I woke up to the sound of a guy actually like peed on our van, and it's literally for no other reason than I think they're just not happy about you parking there. So you can be like us and be quiet. Like this doesn't even look like a camper van, but they just know, and a lot of people don't like it. And a lot of people that I'm friends with, a lot of other like van life YouTubers and stuff, like they get totally hassled about the stigma. Especially I actually think it happens a lot to men more, because I don't know, I think people think that it's like they're homeless whenever actually they're choosing to live this lifestyle. Like you're not homeless, you're just changing the way you live. And like it's just society. Like anytime you do something different than the normal, then there is unfortunately stigma related to it. But like most of the people I know, you just have to ignore it and carry on. Sometimes, like there are sometimes if you like go to park somewhere and you just get like a really strange feeling off it. Like sometimes you would arrive somewhere and be like, I don't feel quite comfortable. And we actually I actually just talked about this recently. We had a really scary experience in Italy. We went to stay up this cliffside near the Amalfi Coast, and we got out of the van, and like I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. I went to take pictures, the sun was setting, it looked like an amazing place to park. And then we realised there was like 3 teenagers, and one of them had a machete, and he was just hanging out like brandishing this machete. And like that's like, it's weird things like that you don't expect that make you feel really, really unsafe. So obviously you see that and go, okay, well I don't want to park overnight where I just seen someone with a machete. So you want to move and be safe, and it can be quite hard. Like obviously you can mitigate that kind of by going to like, there's lots of camper spots that are really, really cheap. You can go to campsites which are really, really cheap, and even like trailer parks and things like that where there's a community of more people. But there are sometimes, like if you're the only van in an area and it doesn't feel right, then you can feel like a little bit vulnerable, definitely. probably just that everything takes a little longer, or like seems to take a little longer. Obviously you have, I think that the bigger you go, the more it seems like a home. Like this is kind of like mid-size compared to a lot of vans, so we don't have room for like a bathroom. So if we want to shower, we'll either have to do it outside, or we'll have to go and find like a leisure centre. So there's like a half hour added to your day to go and find somewhere to shower. And then like you're cooking, like everything's pretty much made from scratch. Like you don't have microwaves, we don't even have an oven. So everything just takes like that little bit longer. And even using the bathroom, we have like a camping toilet, so then you've got added jobs that people don't think about, where you have to obviously empty that every couple of days and clean that out. So it's all like, it's more that it's just like things take a little longer, and there's more time added to your day just by doing the simple things like washing clothes as well. Like laundry, you're gonna have to find a laundromat. If you can't find a laundromat, then you're gonna have to take time to hand wash. So but yeah, that's, I mean, it's not even that that's like the worst thing, it's just something that you get out of this lifestyle, is just simple things tend to take a little bit more time. The freedom, I think, 100%. The freedom and the community. There's a massive van life community now, and like everyone is so nice and understanding. Like you will pull up to a spot and be there another van there, the chances are they're going to come over, you're going to sit and have dinner together, you're going to sit and talk and like get all these stories about where they've been, and you talk about where you've been, and it's just a really, really supportive community. And then the freedom side of it, like I said, you literally can go anywhere on a budget. Like you can have like nearly nothing and still manage to travel and see and do so many things that other people don't get to. If you want to go for a way for the weekend, you have a ready-made place to sleep and stay, and you can just go do it and be free doing it. Yeah, just a lot of people say like just do it, but I don't think that's the case. I do think it's something you have to think about. Like there definitely are, if you're used to a very different lifestyle and you go to this, like it's probably as close to just like camping as you can get. Like there's obviously I'd say it's probably similar to like glamping. So like if you like kind of being out in the wild and you'll feel secure in the back of the van and you don't mind that like everyday tasks take a little longer, then 100% go for it, do it, because you get so much more. Like I don't know, I just feel like I came back a better person after living and traveling in the van, just because I'd seen so many things and done so many things, and it just gives you like an entirely different perspective in life. So I would say do it, but don't just dive in. Just realize that it's definitely a lifestyle that you would have to adapt to, and it is very close to kind of like camping and that kind of lifestyle. So it's great, it's freeing, but you kind of do have to be the type of person who's crazy enough to live in the back of a van.
So there you have it. There is some bad moments.
And then we realised there was like 3 teenagers, and one of them had a machete, and he was just hanging out like brandishing this machete.
But overall, I feel it's a small price to pay for freedom and everything it has to offer. And once again, thank you Mel for doing the interview, you were very helpful. If you liked watching this and you want to see more, be sure to give a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, it means a lot. Thank you.
So cute and fluffy!